All right, we are live with Virgil and Alex. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
No, we know you guys are busy, and we're like I said earlier, we are so thankful that you're able to give some time to us to talk a little bit about baseball, and it's what we love to talk about. When you guys giving us the time is we couldn't ask for anything more.
Nah, same. We love it, man. We got to share it.
Alex, we know you're driving, so I'll try to get this question to you first, just in case you were to disconnect. But give us a quick rundown, a little bit of what your baseball life growing up was story was like growing up, and how much it meant to you, and maybe what was the culture like in the area you grew up in.
Yeah, well, shoot, it's a windy road, but I grew up in Orange County, New York. It's about an hour from New York City. Good baseball, good place to grow up and learn. And played in high school. I went to Stony Brook University out in Long Island, and I got an opportunity to play professionally with the Tigers. It was where I actually met Virgil, and from there bounced around a little bit. After I played I think 5 seasons with Detroit, and then just all in the minor leagues. And then I was at spring training one year with the Rockies, and the rest was independent ball. So all in told, 12 years of minor league experience. Never made it to the big leagues, but really fortunate to be around some really great people, including Virgil, and we've been friends ever since. And after playing, made some stops at a bunch of different places. I've been coaching in college now for 10 years. I'll just go real quick because I was at a bunch of places, but Anna Maria College, which is a Division III school. I spent a couple of years at 1 year at Adelphi University, 2 years at University of New Haven, 1 year at Sacred Heart University, all assistants. And then I was the head coach at Long Island University in New York for 2 years, and then really fortunate to be at Boston College for the last 4 years as the associate head coach. So it's been a fun baseball-filled life so far, and hope to continue that. And obviously doing the business now with Virgil, it's been really fun. So it's been like I said, a windy road.
Wow, but you know what? What an exciting road! Like I'm sitting here listening to your resume, and for me, I stopped playing baseball in high school, so and I didn't start coaching until recently. So it's like baseball's always been a part of my life, and I always missed it. But to hear that is fantastic. To keep baseball in your life that long, and you're still passionate about it, you're still successful with it one way or another. Man, I commend you. That's amazing.
Yeah, again, it's in my heart, and we're surrounded by other people that have it in their heart. It's been really, it's been pretty exciting.
Now, Virgil, let's let you jump in here now and give a little bit. I mean, Alex has got a very long history. I'm sure yours isn't much shorter. So why don't you jump in a little bit and give us some feedback and some history on yourself?
Yeah, so same. Just been playing baseball since I was a little kid. My mom was a huge Cardinals fan, so that's how I got into baseball, was through my mom. And high school ball, drafted 7th round in high school, decided to go to college. Probably one of the best decisions of my life because I was just such a kid. Learned so much in college. Drafted again in the 7th round out of college. But really, the foundation of learning who I was happened there. And then drafted by the Tigers, played for the Tigers, Pirates, Angels, went to indie ball for a couple of years with the Rays, and then I was finished my career with the Twins, and now I'm coaching. So all in all, played about 12 years in minor league and a little bit of big league ball, and then moved over to coaching and been coaching with the Twins here, just entering my 6th year with them as pitching coach. Yeah.
I want to know this from both of you. You guys can we'll start with Virgil first.
Yeah.
But I want to know this from both of you. So looking back at it in retrospect, knowing what you know now, being around it as coaches, just being around the game as long as you have, looking back at it, what would you have done anything differently going back to even back to college?
I don't know, the work ethic. It's just got to do as much as you can, work as hard as you can, just keep stepping every day. I would say one thing I would do different though, because this is my coaching career now, and I'm going through the same steps. You start at the bottom in rookie ball, and you know, eventually you want to work yourself back to the top. So I feel like it's almost like my second lifetime, because I've already done this as a player. And I remember as a player, it was always like, get to the next level, got to get to the next level, got to get to the big leagues. It was just like, that was the only thought. So I missed a lot of the moments, I feel, where I was, and trying to just dominate and be the best player that I was at every level, rather than trying to be a big league pitcher in AAA or be a AAA pitcher in AA. You know, because if you're the best in your league, you're going to move. And so now that I'm going as a coach, I'm just continue to remind me in my mindset is like, just be where I am and just help all the people and people that are around me as much as I can. And then, if that is good enough, then I will move, you know? And so it's just never tires to just never stop working. And, but like have that, like be where your feet are kind of mindset, and really just allow the career to move, because if you're supposed to be there, you will. And that's what I see as a coach in the players is like the guys that are going to be big leaguers are, and the ones that put the work in and they have that strong mindset and belief in themselves.
And what about you, Alex? If you could go back and do it again, would you change anything?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely agree with Virgil saying. Obviously, we're really close, so we talk about things like this quite often. But yeah, I mean, you're so ready to get to the next thing that I think that sometimes, like Virgil said, you miss some things that are really great that are going on there, whether it be a lesson or a relationship with a teammate or a coach. But one thing that kind of sticks out to me, other than that, is I think just trusting in the things that got you to whatever level you were at, whether it was from high school to college, or college then to professional baseball, and then subsequently all the different levels that you get to play. And I think as you get to be an older player, you realize or understand that you can rely on the things that got you there, and obviously you got to continue to get better and work hard, but those qualities about you as a player enabled you to make it that far. And I think that sometimes you think that there's a better way to do things, or maybe take too much coaching, and it actually kind of gets in the way sometimes if you just going out there and kind of letting the natural things kind of come out of your game that makes you a good player. So there's a really fine line between learning and getting better, but also really just kind of letting it hang out, and at the end of the day being happy with the fact that you went out there and did the things that you can do well. And sometimes as a young player, you're so eager to learn that sometimes that gets in the way of you just being able to go out and play.
I love it. One thing I want to ask both of you guys, and Alex, you can go first on this one. You kind of went around. You've been in multiple organizations, multiple colleges. Virgil, you've been to a couple schools too. But how important is relationship building along the way? Because so many of your paths may cross with somebody that you knew from a while ago. How important it is building those relationships throughout your career and now into your coaching career?
I think it's, if not the most important, it's 1A, and it's crazy how many times, even with the business now or with coaching, that we come across guys I've played against, or coaches that were playing at the time that are now coaching, and the baseball world is so small, and those relationships with teammates, with coaches, I think, again, as we grow as people and get older and are in this profession as long as we have been so far, I'm amazed at how many people really affected my life along the way and have come back into it, or now are your peers and what you're doing. So I think the relationship part, as a coach to your players, or as a player to player, or coach to player in any different direction, is really, really important, and I'm realizing more and more, and that's a huge piece of what I do as a coach. With the guys that I'm able to coach now is just, the relationships with them, you're realizing are so important, and that's really one of the most fun parts of being able to be in the game for so long.
Virgil, you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, Tyler, I totally agree with him. For me, it's like you said, one of the most important. For me, I really enjoy it totally. I, like he said, love the relationship. I really like how Alex said, people that touched your career, and then you come around, you maybe see them later in different spots, and that relationship builds through over time. But I don't know, connecting with someone and either growing with them or helping them, or something that they say helps you, or just that friendship and that build and that trust that you both have the best interest at heart of each other. I really love that part, meeting people and communicating, and that's something that my heart really enjoys in this game. And as we build this product, we meet more and more people as we travel, and then in our professional careers as well. It's just, there's nothing else like it. Meeting you guys, Adam and Tyler, just it just keeps growing and growing.
Yeah, I absolutely. That makes so much sense. And you both had said something about people that impacted your career. Whether it be a coach or a player. And this might be a tough question for you to ask. And Alex, actually, Virgil, we'll start with you since we finished last question. Was there a person or a player that sticks out the most to you in your career that gave you advice that really changed the way that you played the game? And that might be a really tough question to ask because I'm sure there's tons of people. But I mean, throughout your, especially the professional career, was there a player was on your team, or it might have been a catcher, that really kind of made you think outside the box and really change your game?
Yeah, I would say there was many that did, but one that stands out in my minor league career was Britt Burns. He was a pitching coach, and I was a extreme worker, lifter, and had my strict routine. And he was the guy where he would pull us in a room, and he says, "What do you know when you know how to pitch?" And he would lead these meetings, and it was all about the mindset. It was all about the approach, and creating this foundation where any given day something might happen, but if you believe in this approach and you have this belief system over the season and over your career, you have a successful career. And so nailing down these fine points and these things where you can measure yourself as process goals, it really changed me, because then I was like, okay, I might give up 5 runs today, but did I do the things that I can control? And he was one of the first ones that really said, okay, these are the things. He didn't tell me control what you can control. He said, you're going to control what you can control, and you're going to do this, this, and this, and that is going to lead to success. And another thing he did was he just gave me an okay in myself to work as I was working, and he would help me and adjust me rather than just trying to resist and change what I was doing. So I really owe a lot to this guy, and in my coaching career, I kind of emulate some of it.
That's excellent. What about you, Alex?
Man, just like Virgil, there's so many people. I don't want to leave guys out, but two guys really just kind of popped in my head, and those two guys are. So I had a manager named Randy Reddy when I played in the Detroit system. It was just I played in the big leagues, just a really good players manager, and he just kind of let you do your thing, but obviously he was teaching the way of baseball, but I don't know, I was a catcher and a hitter, and you looked down to third base, and it just always felt like he thought you were gonna get a hit or help the team. And I've had some managers or third base coaches that you look down and you're like, man, this guy think I stink or something like that. So
right.
To look down there at a guy like that and just he exudes confidence in you before you do anything, I think that was really awesome. My college coach, Matt Sack, who's still the head coach at Stony Brook University, he was the same way, man. He was just, I don't know, about him, just he got the most out of you. And sometimes you were mad at him or pissed because he thought he was pushing your buttons, but he was doing it on purpose, and he was really a a really good coach. And then the third person is Rick Edmond, who was my manager for a number of years in independent ball, who's, you know, obviously a former big leaguer, catcher, you know, with the Red Sox. And he was just an amazing baseball man. And, you know, league game had just taught me a lot of really good lessons, not only as a catcher, but just as a person and as a teammate. So those three guys really in the game. And then, of course, you know, my dad was a huge part of me as a player as well. So sorry to give you so many guys, but
no, it's okay.
You know, there's a long number after that.
Yeah,
but those are the guys that really stick out for sure.
Yeah.
Now, one thing we want to jump into what you guys are kind of working on now, but one thing I want to kind of just bring up before we get there.
Yeah.
And Alex, maybe for you, since you kind of really have coached a lot at the college level, is what would be the one piece of advice you'd give those high school guys out there that are looking to get to that college level? What are college coaches really looking for as players? And then, Virgil, when we get to you, I'd like to see what you think those coaches at the next level, at the minor league level, draft level, are looking for. So, Alex, what advice would you give those players?
Well, listen. The first thing we look for in a player is just a guy who's just a baseball player, loves to play the game, and you know, that's a big piece for me. I think, you know, with all the travel teams and the year-round baseball, you know, some kids don't love to play, and that comes through in their game. So that's the first piece for me. You know, the way we recruit, the way we do our business at BC, and really every stop I've been, it's my philosophy as well, is that, you know, we want a really good kid, right? A kid that is, you know, able to do his schoolwork, and a kid that's, you know, a well-rounded person off the field, and, you know, has character and makeup and all those good things. But, you know, so those are parts of it. But, you know, again, the baseball side, we want a guy who loves the game. We want a guy who's a really good athlete. We really encourage guys and, you know, in the recruiting process to play multiple sports. So, you know, we have guys that are hockey players and football and basketball players as well. And, you know, some coaches want them to stop playing those sports, you know, due to injury, you know, possibility of injury or something like that. We encourage guys to do that, and I will continue to do that as a coach, because I think there's so much development off the baseball field in those other sports that really lead to some really good things, you know, back on the field. So, you know, without going into too much depth, those are really the things that we're looking for.
Awesome. And Virgil, what would you, now that you're kind of coaching it in the, you know, professional level, what would you add to that you know, professional teams are really looking for from those college guys that maybe they didn't get drafted out of high school, they didn't get drafted their junior year, or maybe they went to a JUCO and they're looking to get drafted that way? What would you say that you know, big league teams or, you know, farm teams are looking for in players?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is having a growth mindset, because the game is changing so much. So be able to adapt to what's going on. So you have this adaptability. You come in with this talent because now you're around the best players in the world. So the guys that are coming in, you know, being open-minded to, you know, some new ideas and some new things, because there's some cutting edge things that are happening in pro ball and college ball. So I would say that would be one, and also accountability and being a good teammate, because, you know, I've seen some things happen in the clubhouse that have affected their careers. So, you know, knowing what it's like to support your teammates, knowing what it's like to be a good teammate and be accountable, because little things like being on time and showing up, and, you know, when you get to pro ball, you're accountable to a lot of different places. You have, you know, your dietitian, you have your weight room, and then, you know, ultimately it's the skill that you have on the field. You know, you have your, you know, all these different places that you have to be good at. And so being able to be efficient and accountable in those different areas, you know, just so you can go play ball, just so you can do the thing you love, like Alex says. So, you know, just understanding that, you know, it starts to become a business, but you got to have fun on it and just continue to love the game and come in and be ready to learn.
One thing I want to ask both you guys real quick, Alex, if you can, through minor league life, cultures of people come together. You got guys from and you got Venezuela. I mean, everywhere,
Everybody.
all over the country. I mean, it is the most blended thing possible. Guys coming, going, up, down, out of the game, injuries, whatever it may be. What is that like? Everybody, young kids see, MLB, the show, they play that, they watch Sports Center highlights. It's all glamorous, but what is that like? And what does that adversity that you deal with through that teach you as a man?
Go ahead, Alex.
I lost you for the first part. I heard the last part of it. What was the first part of it?
Basically, like when you're in the minors, going through all of that, just the
Right.
different cultures that come together, players from all over the country, all over the world, players going up, going down, levels. What is that like, and how does that adversity, whether it be good or bad adversity, help develop you as a man through, that 18 to 25, 26, however long it takes you to hopefully maybe reach your potential?
Yeah, I mean the journey is real, that's for sure. And, you're kind of thrown into different cultures, and you have different roommates, and I know it's like crazy, but like different sleep schedules and workout routines. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not as glamorous as people think. I mean, it's a funny thing, and Virgil probably attest to this, but like, you play your first year and you come home and you're like working out in the gym, and people are like, oh yeah, that's great, you got drafted, you're playing with the Tigers, like, and they're like AAA, and you're like, nah, it's short season. And people don't understand at home that there's like so many levels and so many roads that you have to kind of go down before you get to the big leagues. But it's like you just start answering people like, yeah, AAA, like, you can't explain it. You can't explain there's 6 different levels. And but it's fun, man. Looking back on it, it's crazy, but it is definitely a long, windy, different road than most people think.
And Virgil, you could be out in Midwest Ohio or out in wherever, but some of these towns most people couldn't find on a map in the states they live in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what is that like, and what maybe you have a story you could share about your experience?
Yeah. So to kind of dive into the cultures. I would say it helps you as a human and a man to gain compassion, that like your view of life isn't the only view. When I visited different cultures, like I played in Korea, I played in Dominican, I played in Venezuela, I played in Mexico, played in Alaska, I've played, when you play in all these different places, you see where others are coming from. You're like, oh, wow, like what they're doing was a normal thing for them, so you gain some compassion and you try to see things from other people's views. And I would say a story would be like, Oneonta, New York. Like, where is that? So like you're driving from Albany, you're going up to Oneonta, and it's literally one exit. Like literally, like if you miss the exit, you've missed the field. And I remember like right before the season started, they repainted the stands because they just had wooden stands and they painted them, but they just painted them the day before. So the fans came for opening night and they were still wet. So everybody had paint all over their clothes. It was just, man, what are you going to do?
That's real life.
Real life, man. One exit, like just, yeah.
Well, we've heard enough stories on this podcast that, I guess I've just been blind to, just because I never made it to that level. So like in my head, like when you see a guy come up, who's a rookie in the major leagues, you don't realize he's been playing professionally for the past 6 years and finally got the shot at the show. And to hear some of those stories, it's like, man, it's crazy. Like these guys have gone through that, like these non-glamorous things for so long to get to where they're at. So I love stories like that. And, as much as I want to say I'm glad I didn't have to go through those, at the same time I wish I would have.
You live in 4 houses a year. Sometimes you're sharing a room. Sometimes you're on an air mattress. Sometimes it's just you're figuring out where to sleep, and then the different fields, where am I going to eat today? What do we got? It's just there's so many different things, and if you like cleanliness, sometimes the minor leagues isn't your friend.
I hear you. Let's start talking about Revolution Throwing. I don't know how you guys want to do this. Who wants to go first and talk about it? But I'd like to really know like where the birth of it came from, where the idea, who had the idea, and where it went from there, up to its conception.
Yeah, I'll start. So in my career, my shoulder, I worked out hard enough and did enough things where I managed my shoulder, and my shoulder just didn't feel good. Like I could recover it by game day. But once I became a coach, we had this player, and he went from 88 to 99 in 3 months, and we signed him, and he's like mid-20s, but he had a huge engine. He's 6'5", 235. But I was like, this is amazing that this guy can throw like this and learn how to have velocity, like what's going on. And so I went and learned from his pitching coach in California. I got a lesson, went out with him. I was interested. And he taught me how to throw healthy. I was like, really? It's that simple. So he taught me the arm path and how to move and the movement pattern of the arm path and the spiraling of the arm. So I took that after the one lesson that we got together. His name's Caleb Balbuena out in California. And I took that to my Tai Chi and some different things that I've practiced in my life. And then I had to teach it, right? So it took me a year or so to learn it. Now I got to teach it. So in collaboration with Alex and teaching these players out of necessity to learn arm path, like, okay, how are we going to start? So it was one thing. And then I'm like, okay, let's add this and let's add this. Okay, let's do this, and this evolution over 3 years, and when the perfect throw was created. And so it just came out of necessity to want to help someone and want to teach them the arm path in the simplest way without telling them what to do. And, if you can teach a guy through feeling, then he can coach himself. And the goal is to have them coach himself, and understanding and consistency. Consistency comes from understanding. And so if we can get them to understand themselves through feeling, then they can repeat and throw.
What about you, Alex? Do you want to add anything to the conception of the business?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun process because probably about three and a half years ago, Virgil kind of showed me his first kind of prototype of it, and it was I mean, even now it's not like this crazy intricate thing, but it works. And but the first one was pretty funny. It was just pieced together, and I remember trying to do it in his front yard in Fort Myers, and I was like, I felt like a fish out of water. I threw my whole life, and I was like, what the heck? Why can't I do this? I was getting so frustrated. So, but it's been a fun process from that point forward. We want to help people to be able to understand their body and their arm path, and we both use different things from footballs and water bottles, a lot of different things, you know what I mean? To try to get guys to feel, what the perfect throw makes them feel. So we're really happy that we have a design that we like, and we've got a lot of great feedback. And really the brainchild was Virgil's, but it's been a collaboration, since he was like, what do you think? And I'm like, man, we got to do this thing. So
yeah.
It's been really fun, and it's still evolving, day to day and month to month. So it's been fun.
Yeah. One thing I like to add is, through my career, there was this belief that if you throw, you're going to break. I don't know if you've guys heard that before. If you throwing is an unnatural motion, you're not supposed to do it. But after learning this, I'm like, I don't believe that. It's about the joint. It's about sequencing. It's about your warm up. There's things that involve, and we also want to help change that mindset that throwing can feel good, that throwing is a natural movement. There are steps to this. There's the sequencing, there's the arm path, there's how am I, how's it timing up with my hip turn? Where's my arm? What's going on? And how am I warming up? But there's different things. But once you change the mindset, then rather than throwing is going to hurt, now throwing is healthy and going to feel good. It's not that one thought makes it healthy, but now that you start believing it and you're like, okay, I'm going to look for where it feels good. I'm going to find an exercise that feels better. You start organizing and finding things that match what you're feeling and thinking about the movement. So this movement or this product and the movements behind it are trying to enforce that and to pass that mindset along, that look for where it feels good. Throwing can feel good, and what are you doing in your habits and in your daily routine that can enhance that?
Now, real quick, I mean, I guess not real quick. We can talk as long as we want here. But, you say about the proper movement, you know what I mean? Like for anybody who goes and does yoga for the first time, you're going to feel like this is the worst thing ever. I mean, it's so uncomfortable to go do some of it, but as you do it, or even take squatting or bench pressing or any of these exercises that maybe you don't do them right for however long you do it. And then finally, when you figure out the right way, boom, it takes off. Like you talked about, the guy goes from 85 to 99. When you figure out, I've seen guys in the weight room do the same thing. Once you kind of show them the right path, it takes off. What would you compare the throwing motion to in a way? Like, what would you say is the biggest flaw you see? Let's start with that. The biggest flaw you see in the throwing motion that may cause some of those uncomfortable feelings that you were talking about, Virgil?
Oh, for me, so one of the biggest things to teach is like, so where do guys miss all the time? They always miss arm side, right? Arm side, arm side, arm side. And what is the case? Like when I was playing, it was like, stay close, stay close, stay close. Keep your front side close, stay close. It's like, but what am I staying close to? And why am I opening up too soon, right? So behind every movement, there's a mindset. So if I'm trying to make a ball harder, throw more, create bigger, I'm going to really fly open. So that what we see is guys lifting up as they're turning away. So there's a lift and a turn. So then the arm like bounces in and out. And so what you want is you want to actually come in and then turn. So it creates an arc, because in movement, if I have a linear movement, there has to be a stop and then I restart the energy. But if I do in circles or in arcs, like I say, an infinity sign or a coiling, there's no stop in the movement. So now I can continue the momentum, and then you coil the joints like wringing out a wet towel rather than pulling and bringing them together.
Now, Alex, real quick, you're a catcher. The movements that Virgil's talking about, were these things as a catcher catching hundreds and thousands of bullpens, innings? These things you start to see from a pitcher, maybe they're missing glove side, or arm side, are these conversations you're having in the dugout, in the bullpen, things like that? Are these things that you're looking for or you're seeing as a catcher?
Yeah, for sure. And, for a long time, you're not really, until this, getting with Virgil and kind of figuring this stuff out and learning the science and how the body moves. And you see this stuff happening and, you try to make adjustments, but you're not exactly sure, why the timing is off, why the sequence is off. You think you have an idea of what it is, but, Virgil and I really dove into this with everything. And we're really starting to see that sequencing and the timing and what Virgil was talking about. I mean, when you asked that question to Virgil, I knew he was going to say exactly what he did. The lift and turn. It's just it's two things fighting each other that should be working together. And again, those arcs that are happening as the body is, creating force out through the front of the hand. If those things aren't in sync and the organization of the body is not working and firing kind of in line with each other, there's a missing link somewhere. So, it's fun to be able to look at that now and go, man, we can help this guy, or our product can help this guy. And the best part of the perfect throw and our product, we think, is that once you put it in your hand, it's your movement. It's not us telling you to do something. So you're able to work through these different movement patterns, and every guy's going to move differently. But there's some keys that we talk about with it. But once that happens, it's all your movement. It's yours. And that's the best part. We're trying to teach guys to move the way their body wants to move, not the way we think they should move. So that's the best part for us.
You had mentioned, because I was going to ask this question, I bet you guys watch baseball so much differently than you ever have now that you have this tool that can help people.
Yeah.
Because I know just me as a 8U coach, I see a kid swinging a bat, I think to myself, I could help him.
Yeah.
Well, now you guys watch baseball, whether it's college or professional, it could be the guy on the other team, and you're thinking, I could really help him out.
Yeah. But a common theme for me and Virgil is we'll send pictures or videos or, we'll do a video of someone throwing, we'll see it and we'll just write ouch, like,
Right.
they're moving wrong. I just wish 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, so there's no ouch.
I got a video to send both of you guys when we get done with this podcast. Honestly, I got a video I will send you guys, and you might scream when you watch it.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things, right? Is like, as we share what our vision is that's what I'm learning. Is as we talk to people, we're learning their vision, and we're trying to share our vision. As you see more and more of this, of the arm path and the sequencing, once you look at someone throw, you can't not see it. And for me, it was like, it was always there. And when I first started watching people throw, I was like, why does their hand stay next to their ear the whole time? How does that happen? It's like it comes in and the body turns and the hand stays there, but the body's turning around it to get into ER, into layback. And so I was like, how's that happening? But once you see it, you can't not see it. And that's what we keep sending back and forth. Like, hey, look at this one, look at this one. Oh, this is good. How can we help this guy? And
Right.
And it's at all levels. It's at all levels.
So what would you say 3.5 years ago, you in Virgil's front yard, backyard, in the ever, you're probably swinging this thing as much as you can. What were some of the first challenges you faced with it when you first started it? And I'm not sure which one of you want to jump in first. I guess Virgil, we let Alex go first last time, I think. But what was the biggest challenge you had when you first started with this product?
See, it wasn't a product. It was just to help the guy. That's all it was. And the guy that we helped, this isn't going to help for everybody. He threw 100 this year, and he was throwing 93, 95 when we started using it, and he just got signed back out of Mexico, right? So it was just to help the guy. That's it. And then I remember Alex did one, because right now there's a certain length that we're using it, and we've tested a lot of the lengths. When he used it, it was 3 feet long. When he came to my front yard, right? So I would say the most difficult thing wasn't difficult. It was just part of the process of like, okay, what's the length? What's the best? What's the most efficient? How are we going to, it was just a process of making. And, the most difficult part is just manufacturing, I guess, and like the business world that's what I find is like, okay, we want to make these so we have enough to help enough people that want it, but the design experience, it was more just collaboration. All right, let's do this. We're going to sell this thing. All right, now how can we refine it so it's unbreakable and that it lasts forever and that it can help as many people as it can?
There was not a lot of technical stuff in there. It was a lot of trial and error of like, man, this one stinks, or like, every once in a while I'll go through a drawer to get something and I'll have like an old one we made 3 years ago, and I'm like, I cannot believe that was what it was. So things clinking around and barely being held together, but it worked, and it really was just about the movement pattern. And so in that sense, it's the same. It's just a little bit more dialed in.
Now, I had talked before we started recording here. I told Virgil, I said the first time we ever saw this, Tyler sent me a video. And it was Robbie Rowe. He was using it, and we love Robbie. Full of energy.
Love Robbie.
His videos are fantastic.
He should have been a scientist with all the experiments he does. He should have been a scientist.
He's like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Isn't he there for baseball players?
He is a science. The experiment is his own body.
Yeah, exactly. So we were watching him, and he sent me the video. He's like, Dan, check this out. And I was just like, what in the world is that thing? And then it's just made sense because I'm looking at it, and everything that you see now, especially even in like weight training, you're seeing things full range motion where your natural movements are going. It's mixing Tai Chi and yoga mixed with weightlifting and stuff like that. So when I saw that, I was like, that is a beautiful thing to watch. So we saw Robbie using it, and we saw Tanner Carson using it as well, raised in baseball. Where has this gone so far? I mean, is it just in the minor league level? Are guys in the big leagues using this yet, or colleges starting to buy into it and check it out? How is this going so far? How far has it gone, and what's the plan?
You want it, Alex? You want a little bit?
No, Verge, go ahead.
The plan is baseball, softball, cricket, water polo, volleyball, football. Right now, in baseball, it's a lot of facilities. Younger athletes is more about, like, I get videos and like, how can I help this little guy, my son, or this guy we're training, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds. and teaching them form. And then you get to older guys, teenagers, and we're getting them from facilities, and like, we need to connect them, their sequence is off, or there's no flow, there's a lot of start stops and they're throwing. So those guys, and then they got the more professional teams. Right now it's more about friends and giving and, you know, helping them out. Some ex-big leaguers, a few minor league guys, you know, position players, you know. But and then on the other side of that, we have water polo that we just sold to a college of water polo. There's a big thing in Australia right now with beach water polo fours, really helping those guys out. And we've been collaborating with them about how can we improve this to help their sport. Cricket, you know, there's a huge, I think, need for that in that sport, because they don't really play catch as much. When I was over in Australia, trying to give them a tool where they can practice indoors, outdoors by themselves without a partner in the movement patterns. And they're just trying to expand to help people and teach them that throwing can feel good, you know, and wherever that is. You know, what was some of the things that you think, Alex?
Yeah, for sure. I think Virgil and I both have been surprised kind of the reach of the product, especially with the sports like you mentioned, with you know, volleyball, water polo, cricket, like those types of things. Those coaches and those players are kind of freaking out over it, in the sense of like, oh my God, there's something that I can practice. I don't need a partner. I don't need a bucket of balls, or, you know, and you're able to do it on your own, and you know, start to perfect your own movement patterns. And so that actually has been really fun, because we're like, oh my God, like this is very similar in water polo, and this could really help cricket. So you know, not only in baseball, but, you know, our vision for it helping people is starting to really grow, and we're excited about that. We just want to help people throw, and like Virgil said, I couldn't have said it better. Like, we didn't set out to make a product or become a business. We just wanted to help people throw, and once we realized it, we're like, man, we really want to get this in a lot of people's hands, because we think it can really help.
I love that you said volleyball and cricket and water polo, because these are things I didn't even think about, because in my head I'm just thinking softball and baseball.
Yeah, we're in that category too. We didn't think about it.
yeah, we're like, okay, arm motion is important for a lot of sports, you know, outside of baseball and softball. What about, you know, okay, so you learning this right now about what this is doing for your arms and how this is improving other people's arms. I'm just thinking back to all these pitchers. Like we've had a couple pitchers locally that you know, made it to the big leagues and didn't last that long because of arm issues.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, you know, I'm sure you can't put a number on it, but as for longevity, what do you think this does for a pitcher that is in and out of the league normally in, you know, 10 years? You know, how long do you think a career could be extended with something like this, with proper arm care at an early age like this?
Yeah,
Virgil.
I can't. I don't want to like.
Yeah, I know it's
like, you don't know, but if you can teach someone, right? And if you teach them to listen to their body, you know, because one of the things I learned when I started really listening to my body was that when there's a soreness, it is telling me something. Right. So like, okay, the next day after I'm throw or I play catch or in my game, okay, I'm a little tight here. What was I doing? Oh, I was flying open. Okay. So what am I going to do next time to adjust? Or I had big stressful innings as a pitcher. Okay. What am I going to do to adjust so the next game is different, rather than getting mad at my shoulder and be like, you shouldn't feel this way? I listened to my body. Right. So, or maybe I played long toss and I was like, oh, I'm a little sore here. I'm not usually sore here. Well, okay, now think about how I was throwing. What was my sequence and my throwing motion, and how was my movements? And so it allowed that. So if we can help throwers learn that, then they can, you know, hopefully they never have to take a day off, and they always, because, you know, you can't make the club in the tub, as Alex would say. So it's like, you know, we just want guys to throw, man, and just be able to be on the field, have fun with their guys, and just play as long as they want, you know, and have their choice of their career ending rather than their body be their choice.
Excellent.
Now one thing, I mean, and Dan brought up the Robbie Rowe video. When I watched it, I watched that motion and the ball going through in that arc, and you talked about it, reminded me so many of the slow motion swing videos that you see online. This was one of the first motion, like throwing motion videos that I really had seen that simulated that proper motion and that arc and that continuous movement you talked about.
Yeah.
One thing I want to ask here, and Alex, some people may look at this and say, "Oh, this is just for pitchers. This is just for the guy, throwing on the mound." What would you say to that person, Alex? You're the catcher here. What would you say to that person?
So the company line, and it's just not a company line, but it's just experiences. That's when we first started, putting it in people's hands. They were like, "Well, is this going to make my pitchers better?" And we said, "It's not a pitching tool; it's a throwing tool." And really, if you look across the field, the best throwers, the most accurate, some of the guys that have the strongest arms, they're in the middle of the field, right? So they're in middle infielders. Obviously some corner outfielders have pretty strong arms, catchers. But we started thinking about like the people that were the most accurate and had the right movement patterns. And we always joke about guys who can throw BP the best, and those are middle infielders and catchers, right? Because they have control of their movement patterns. And so to someone to ask that question, we think it's for all throwers across the board. And that honestly didn't change. That hasn't changed since the onset of kind of us starting to work with this 3.5 years ago. It was like we thought it could help everybody. Pitching is just another aspect of that.
Yeah. One thing Alex said that, for me, I had to learn how to throw. And for Alex, it taught him that he threw right. Because if you don't know if you throw correctly, because I remember he said this, we were actually making a video, and he's like, yeah, for me, like, I didn't know I was throwing the right way, and using this tool, I've started to gain understanding. And for me, the tool taught me how to throw right, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, as a catcher and dealing with a lot of pitchers over the course of my career, and as a pitching coach, pitchers are a little bit crazy. Every little nick or something they feel, whatever. So to have something that you can put in your hand and make it feel good, I think Virgil will attest to this too. It's like guys just say like it just feels good on my arm. It feels like it's massaging my arm. Like
Someone said that one
smile
time.
when people say that. You know what I mean? So like, again, I don't think we're that smart, but I don't think we're that dumb as well. And we use our eyes and our experience as players and coaches, and we think again that we think it could help, and that's been the kind of the brainchild for us. It's just we want to help people.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about a simple prescription for, let's just say, if someone picks up, the perfect throw and they want to try it out with their players. What a simple prescription. How long of a routine do you think they should do? Should it be before practice and after practice? How do you prescribe that as someone who created it?
Yeah, we would prescribe it first. You got to learn the movement pattern. So first to gain understanding of, okay, well, how's this move? Using a mirror sometimes helps, but we prescribe it as a warm up. Okay, you're going to do this. You're going to do, 3 or 4 sets of 20. Really just try to feel it. And it's about gaining understanding. Sometimes, that 20 turns into 2 minutes. It's about, okay, I'm just going to keep going and feeling it. But you don't want to train into fatigue, really. You just want to train and start understanding yourself, take a break, understand yourself and your movement patterns. Another way is if a guy is learning the arm path, so this is a change in his arm path, you would use a blending technique. So you would use this, say you would do 10 to 15, grab, throw, 5 to 10 throws, 10 throws, 15 throws. Then you would grab a perfect throw, do it 10 times, throw 10 throws. So you go back and forth because the new feeling is an in feeling. And so you're trying to bridge the gap from, okay, I understand how I'm supposed to move here with the perfect throw. Now, how do I blend that and use it when I'm going to throw an actual baseball? How else have you used it, Al?
Yeah, right. So, Virgil, you hit it right on the head. Obviously, there's a couple points that we teach originally that I think are important to understanding how the arm path should move and kind of checkpoints. But certainly as a warm up, as a blending tool, like Virgil said. But I'm starting to use it with a lot of people and talk to people about kind of a recovery type of tool in the toolbox as well, because it promotes blood flow through the joints, and again, like we talked about, it feels really good as well. So like it's a submaximal movement. You're not actually releasing the baseball at all, so you're able to, it's like an active recovery for some guys. They really like it. I've also kind of blended it with, Virgil talked about using the perfect throw and then picking up the baseball and throwing. I have guys that use it for, 1 minute a day. They do their throwing, and right before they get on the mound, they want to pattern and just, re-emphasize the things they're working on. So, we're still building a lot of different programs for different cases. But really, I think the sky's the limit for how many different ways that you can use it. And again, I think it's really personal to each individual user.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask about the variation. So to the perfect throw, you were talking about sizes earlier. So you have a shorter one as well. Could you talk about, why you have a different variation and what that would be used for?
Yeah, so there's the original, and then the shorty is 6 inches shorter. So it's 18-inch and 16-inch different than, 12 inches. And the difference is the lever size, right? So a longer lever, when you're going, the centrifugal force is greater. So if you give this to a 7-year-old, 10-year-old, it's about 10 to 11. It's more about size, but it's about 10 or 11 that when you start moving to the original from the shorty. And it's just too long for them. It's just too heavy. You can just see it in their arm movement. It's like pulling on their joints a little too much. But that would be the main reason. It's just for size of body and just to allow the correct movement to happen without putting too much stress on their joints.
Now, let's jump in, and probably what most people want to know is what's your price point here on each variable that you have there on each product.
Yeah, we keep it super cheap. We want everyone to have $39.99. Like, we offer discounts often, and we just want people to have it. Like, we're not trying to really raise the price. It's just $39.99. Yeah.
Nice.
And what kind of warranty do you offer on the product? Is it a replacement or anything like that? I'm sure they reaching out to you could probably figure something out. But what is it that you offer the customers?
Yeah, it's a great question. I got two things to that. One, if it breaks or anything happens, just let us know. We'll help you out. Like, we're not here to to say, oh, we're not going to replace that. Buy another. No, we're here to. We want to help you throw. So if something happens, let us know. We'll 90% of the time send you a new one. Probably 99% of the time. And another thing we offer is free consultation. So we'll have guys use it, and they send us video, and we make 1-minute videos and send it back with some tips or cues to help them move along in the throwing. So say they're having a problem moving from the perfect throw to their throw in that bridge, or if they want to understand how to use the perfect throw better, send us a video. Like I just had it today with a guy in high school. I was doing it, and it seems really helpful to both sides. We get to learn about, okay, how are they using it, and what are some common themes that it's helping, and then they get to use the tool better and improve their throw.
That's awesome. We actually, him and I were just talking before the show. We got to get ourselves one of those as well. And everything we talk about on the show, everything that is something that we see that there's a value to, or we wouldn't have that person on the show to talk about it. So would love to get our hands on one. We work with young kids every single week. We do a Sunday clinic, and I think it would be awesome to develop a good arm path, especially at the 7U, 8U, 10U age. But I would love that. And if it's possible, maybe we could even offer a discount code through our listeners, if that's possible as well. Well, we can talk about that off air, but I'd love to be able to get this in the hands of other people, and just to get it out there. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to help you out. And you said you're under 10?
Right now, the team that we're working with is 8U, but we have kids from 12, 13 years old that come on Sundays just for some extra lessons.
Yeah, well, definitely. I love, and just to see how you like
to.
And we'll definitely be taking videos at least of our kids using it, and training with it as well. So I think it'd be It'll be fantastic. And I also wanted to ask this, and you probably can't talk about it if you have something in the pipeline, but is there anything else in the pipeline coming up that just ideas or variations that you guys are thinking of, or just right now just running with these and just improving them as you go?
We got a lot of ideas.
So there's going to be some variations to the perfect throw, but at the moment it's mastering. You got to master one thing before you can manufacture all the things.
Right.
We have a throwing implement that is going to do that to help with sequencing and throwing, and then there's going to be a couple other things to help with it. But there's some different variations, in the works. But right now we got to get one. Like our mind can keep going and going, and just
right. You gotta, if you're not focusing, you're going to spray, and it's not.
Too much.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Now, one thing I want to ask as we wind down here, I know you went to the convention in Nashville. What was the reception and feedback and some of the stuff you heard from, there's some of the best coaches across the country, some of the best trainers across the country. What was some of the feedback you got while you were there showing the product off?
Yeah, well, I got to stand in a 10 by 10 square for 3 days, and it was amazing. Like, if I could get someone, so like the magic feeling is what's going on behind the back. And that's just when the sequence happens. So having the lever has them feel that. So if I could get someone to feel it, like within those 2 minutes they were standing in that little box, they go, whoa, they could see the light bulb go off, and then they would start sequencing their turn, and they started some understanding coming. And what proved it to me was, because I've done this before, you go up to the booth the first day, you're like, oh, okay, it looks interesting, I'll come back tomorrow. But our biggest day was our last day, and it was the shortest day. And so guys were coming back, and the word was getting out. And so there was a real big positive response, and then we had our friends there, Jason Ferber and, our LaTroy Hawkins and Tewksbury and CeCe, Colabella, like these guys around didn't hurt at all either. But, we appreciate their love and their support. But by the end, it was great to see that last day and see these people come back again. Like I remember a kid came the last day, and he came 3 or 4 times. And he came the last day, and he held it, and he's like, he wanted it so bad. And he's like, how much cash do you have in your pocket? And he pulls out $25. And I was like, God, come on, man, they're 35. You know that, right? He's like, 25. I'm like, that's all I got. I'm like, all right, well, you promised to post something online? He's like, I'll do it on my story. I was like, one post. He's like, story. I was like, all right, $25. And he like ran off. Like he was so pumped up, so, it was fun to have the kids do something. And, we had the booth next to us doing it, and it was just fun. We were starting to create a little community, I guess, over there in the back left corner of the, 1000th booth.
And Alex, what were the texts? I'm sure he was texting you like crazy through some of this stuff. What were some of the messages he was sending you on the backside?
Yeah, so I wasn't there. I was on a family vacation, and Virgil gives me crap about it, just joke around. But no, we just bust each other's butts a little bit. But he, dude, it was crazy. I was following online. Obviously I'm friends with all the guys that were there, so I'm following the stories. He's texting me pictures and videos, and just it seemed like an amazing, obviously an amazing event, and he did a great job, and the people that helped out just as friends, spreading the word and trying to get it in people's hands, and was just amazing. It was, obviously it's great to be my family, but I feel like I missed out a little bit of just getting a dude out and share the, our passion for throwing. So, and one thing I'll say is that all the people that were around, they just wanted to hang out, and they believe in the product, and they believe in us. And that was the most amazing part for me. Like, they could have done, many other things, or standing in a lot of other booths. We all know a lot of people at those events. So for them to be there and really believe in what we're doing, that meant a lot to me.
No vacation next year, Alex. You guys are coming to DC. That's our backyard.
I will be there.
Cool.
We already got a booth.
Vacation.
Be there.
Awesome.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, we've been meaning to go for the last couple of years, and
I'll say Nashville, DC is like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
so
we're good.
like,
yeah, we should be. We'll be fine. We're gonna make it down there next year. So,
awesome.
Now on that note, hey, let's talk about some goals. What are some of your goals for both of you next 3 to 5 years? What you want to see in the business, and even if you have a personal goal as well, with coaching?
Go ahead, Al.
Bird, you want to go first or me?
Go ahead, buddy.
Somebody wanted to think a little longer.
He's more of the goal setter. I'm more of the guy like, all right, I'm just gonna keep making things, and then he says, all right,
Verge, what are you doing, dude?
I'm like, whatever, man.
West Coast, East Coast, yeah, right.
That's why we're partners, right? He does the business, I do the other stuff.
So real funny about me and Dan is I'm the one that's like texting him at midnight, and he's the one getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym reading them.
Right.
Yeah.
Same. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think really, I don't know if I have anything specific, but the goal is just to keep growing the awareness for how the body moves and arm path, and for us as a business to continue to, I think, really be on the cutting edge of what's going on in the sport right now. And again, the feedback has been really great, and with the baseball community being a lot of young guys coming up, and we're not so young anymore, but this young generation that's into analytics and body movement and patterning and things like that. I think we're in a good space right now, and we're just having a lot of fun with it. Obviously, me being a college coach and Virgil, in the professional ranks now coaching, limits our time with the business, but we're really putting our hearts and soul into it, and spending as much time as we can trying to grow awareness for not only our product but our business. And so kind of going a roundabout way, we just want to keep growing as people and business in the sport.
If I can give a couple numbers, that's awesome, Al. I want this to be in the hands of little leaguers. So, right, like we're talking to little leagues in California right now. Oh, geez, sorry guys, hold on. Okay, it's okay. We're talking to little leagues in California right now. We're talking to facilities and different things. So, do the Jaeger band, and then you do a perfect throw, and then you go throw, right? Like that's the routine, and that's because it's like, okay, warm up the joints, tell the joints and body how to move, and then let's go let it eat. And like do that daily. Like it's just part of the routine. And so, we can get 10,000 of them out this year, and then just let it grow, because it's just a tool, right? It's not the tool. It's a tool to help players. And if you know how to throw correctly and you have correct movements, it's a warm up. So, or you can go faster, or, we're going to do some other things to it to help. I almost said what we're going to do, but
just to jump in real quick. I mean, it blows my mind, honestly, that people will drop $50, $60, $70, $80 on a lesson, but will hesitate to spend $40 on something they can take with them every day and use it as much as they want.
You said it, and they can
love that.
teaching.
That's a good endorsement. Right? $39.99.
Honest, it blows my mind. People will spend $400 on a bat like it's nothing. They'll spend $2,000 or $1,500 to be on a travel team like it's. Yeah. I mean, and take whatever sport you want. I mean, even club volleyball, all these sports now are getting outrageous. But here's $40 that you can keep with you in your bag and take it with you everywhere you go. You get out the car from a 2-hour car ride and you're bored. Here's something to do. You're in the hotel room. Your game got rained out. Here's something. There's a foot of snow. Here's something you can do. And people will hesitate to do it. People need to educate themselves desperately into what's happening.
I appreciate that word. And that's how we feel, man. We just want, $40. So is that five cups of coffee?
Yeah. Especially in California.
Yeah,
right.
Four gallons of gas.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, honestly, I think the more and more people see this, your goals are going to be so obtainable and so practical that, looking back at it, you're going to be like, man, I can't believe that was the only goal we set for our, that's what we set the goal. One thing I want to ask here before we get done, because we're about, our podcast is about helping that kid that's, just tried out for the high school team. How do I get to the varsity team? how do I get from varsity to possibly to college? If I made it to college, how do I possibly get to the next level? And so it's all about connecting people with information. So the one thing we ask our guests to do is to connect us with other people to hopefully share something. So, Alex, if you can, if there's somebody that you could recommend the Going Yard podcast, Dan and me, to reach out to, who would be that guest, you think, and give Virgil an extra couple minutes here to think about it?
Wow, you put me on the spot.
I'll go first, Alex. You can think.
I should have put Virgil on the spot. I
No,
apologize.
No, I watched I went through your Instagram. I got it.
You got it already? Oh, shoot.
Yeah. So there was actually two people I think about, but I wanted to say the one. Her name's Elizabeth Ben, and she works in the MLB commissioner's office, and she's doing huge things for women's baseball. And she's setting up programs. She gets out in the community, and she's just a really big influence. She sets up all different kinds of events, and she's just a huge influence to help women in baseball. And it's great to see, like, just all walks of life, anybody that just wants to play baseball for the competition, for the fun, for the camaraderie. And she's doing big things in that. So I think she would be great on here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, Alex, did that give you enough time? Sorry, my man.
Man, it's such a hard one. There's so many great people in baseball right now. It's just it's confusing to me. Honestly, the first person that came to mind was a guy named Wayne Mazzoni. Wayne Mazzoni, I think he has a podcast called not a podcast, a Instagram. I think it's called Coach Maz Baseball and D1 Pitching. He is the pitching coach at Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut. He's been around the game for a long time, and he's a really good dude. He's really progressive. He's had a lot of success there. I was fortunate enough to coach him for 1 year. But he's like the first person that kind of popped into my brain. But I think he'd be a really good guest for you guys.
Perfect.
Awesome. I love the one question. Actually, you know what? I guess we should ask, where can people find you online? That's probably the best thing we would do, because, for those who have never seen it, they need to go on and check that stuff out so they can actually watch the videos. And for those listening to this in podcast world that haven't seen the video, Virgil was actually holding up both of them in the video as well. So if you want to hop on Facebook, you can check that out as well. But yeah, where can people find you online, get more information about all of this?
Yeah, revolutionthrowing.com would be our main avenue for ordering, revolutionthrowing.com. And then you can go to Instagram, Revolution Throwing, and then Facebook, the same, Revolution Throwing. So it's all pretty simple, revolutionthrowing.com. It also leads you to all our social media sites. We have a YouTube channel. It's probably most easily directed from our website, and just there to help information. You can actually buy them on Instagram as well. So just go to revolutionthrowing.com.
Now, real quick before we get done here, were there any topics or anything you wanted to bring up and say that we possibly did bring up for you here? I mean, we kind of went around a little bit on a bunch of different topics. Were there any things, that you wanted to put out there before we wind this down?
Bird, you got anything? I don't know.
No, because you had some good questions, like what's the main thing we teach? What's the main flaw? Mindsets. I guess I have a question, like, how can we help you guys? Like, you guys are doing great work in the community. Is there anything we can do besides send you a couple perfect throws for being such good people?
Well, hey, that would be fantastic. I mean, that's enough, because our biggest thing as coaching is, what can we do? What can we do to better these kids when it comes to their game, and give them things that we didn't have growing up? We had sandlot baseball and our morning leagues, and then eventually played tournament when we were older, and then in the high school. And we watched Ken Griffey Jr. on Sports Center reruns the next day. That's how we learned how to do our swing, wear our hat backwards. So that right there is, just talking to you guys and getting the information, and then that would be an excellent gift. So okay, we're not asking for it, but thank you.
Well, we're gonna send it then, no matter what. So.
Yeah.
The one, save us a spot. We're coming to the booth. You got the booth in DC. We're coming to the booth. We're gonna stand in that 10 by 10 area with you, and we're gonna get this figured out together.
Let's go.
Because you know,
get you revving, bro. Get you revving.
Hey, I'll tell you.
I love it, right?
I talk to guys like you, and I think it probably happens to you. You're probably like, dang it, man. I wish I had this product 15 years ago when I started. I mean, like, what could that have done for me? You know what I mean? And honestly, like with us working with some of these kids in the community in the area, our community, it's not a big city, but it's a bigger town. You know what I mean? And if we get that product and we start using it with this person and that person, and they just start to feel it, I can tell you, it will start to spread in our area, because that's just how things work, because everybody's looking for that little thing that can help. You know what I mean? And we have a program that we're fortunate enough to be a part of that, you know, we just left last night, like a full coaches meeting where we're all sharing ideas together about our program and where we want to go. And, you know, how can we support this team and that team, and this team's doing tournaments and this team's doing league, and how do we get those kids from this level to that level? And honestly, like that, just getting our players in our program to start using this, I would be the best gift that we could ever ask for, honestly.
Perfect. And
that's amazing, man. We would love that.
Yeah, if it works too, it spreads. That's how it spreads.
Right.
So that's why, like, we want your honest feedback, and we're here to help you too learn it. But like, that's why it's like we don't have enough inventory. It just keeps. It's just like it works, so people buy it, right?
Yeah, that's a really great problem. That's
it's a good problem.
We'll provide enough video of kids using it with permission of from their parents as well. But with our own kids, I mean, we got 4 kids total that could use it, and right in our little facility behind us here. So I think
well, you guys have to promise one thing. We want video of both of you using it, so we can help you guys.
Hold on. I got to know this. Is there a
is there a blooper video?
No, because all right. So I was wondering this: is there a? I know there's a learning curve when it comes to, because if you don't have a good path to begin with, which I don't think I have that problem, but we'll see. Is there a learning curve where if you don't have the right path, it's going to hit you in the head and teach you real quick?
Virg, I actually think that the less you know, the better, because you don't have to pattern old habits anymore.
Right. Gotcha. Well, see, that's where I'm worried about myself.
Okay.
And also, we when I were making it, our lawyer, he wanted to try it, and he hit himself in the head. And I'm like, oh, we're using softballs. So you have nothing to worry about.
Okay. Good
information to know. That's for sure.
Awesome, guys. Well, hey, we really appreciate your time. I know you guys were, coming out of practice, and Alex, you were on the road when we first started this, and we just appreciate you guys taking the time. We love it. So much good information, so much good things for all of our listeners to hear. I do have one question for both of you. We'll give Virgil the first one here. Actually, both of you, if you had one more at bat, one more pitching appearance in the major leagues, what song would you choose as your walk-up song to the plate and walk-out song to the mound?
Oh, man. Really? I got the Haters song in my head right now. I got to look on my Spotify. What do you got, Alex?
Virgil will be some weird techno music or something like that. Anyone who's listening knows what I'm talking about, but some weird spacey stuff.
What do you got?
I don't know what I got. Maybe the Jay-Z song, the New York song Jay-Z did.
Welcome to New York.
I've never played in the big league, so the sound system where I played probably doesn't work. But
awesome, that's a good choice. That one builds you up. What about Virgil? What do you think, bud?
I love electronic music when I'm pitching. I love instance. So I actually have a friend. He's an artist called Traveler, and he has a song Close to Me I really like. And there's another one. I would probably choose one of his songs. He has like a there's some rhythm in there and some heavy bass, and I would probably choose it. It'd probably get me going. And it's about choosing something that's going to lift the audience with you, lift the fans. So I'd probably choose one of those.
That's true.
That's excellent. Love it.
Sure, you got to pick a song that they can't wait to get back up or get on the mound.
Yeah, that's why your song would be great.